Hello guys, this is Ravdeja and today I'm going to guide you through astronomy. By astronomy I mean visual astronomy. How to get absolutely started in visual astronomy and start observing the night sky. How to see planets, star constellations, nebulas, galaxies and read more about space, etc. So this video is absolutely for the beginners, not for the experts who have prior hand information about this field, or if you are an expert in this field, this video is not for you. This video is absolutely for the beginners, especially the guys who are in India who want to get into astronomy but couldn't due to some of the other reasons. This video is especially for you guys. So I'm going to guide you through step by step process, how to choose your first telescope, what are the books you have to read, what are the material online that you have to read and to get familiar with astronomy and stuff like that. So let's get started. So visual astronomy is a very rewarding experience, and you might be thinking that you should get a telescope in order to pursue this hobby. But let me give you a small suggestion. Before getting a telescope, try to get one of these. Yeah, binoculars. Yeah, as you can see, these are a couple of 10 by 50 binoculars. 50 is actually the aperture, the opening size that we have here, and 10 is a magnification of this binocular. So, no matter what size binocular you have in home, take the binocular, go out on a starry night, on a reasonably clearer night, and start observing stars. You might be surprised. You might get surprised how good the sky actually looks through the binoculars, and moon is absolutely fantastic in this, guys. I couldn't believe moon can be absolutely stunning with binoculars. Actually binoculars are a small refractor telescope. You have lens here, and you're zooming back here, so this is kind of like a telescope but a basic version of it. So before you buy a telescope, buy binoculars and start observing the night sky. Actually, I didn't do this binocular thing in the beginning because when I was in undergrad, there used to be a senior who had a telescope, and I had the opportunity of looking a moon through the telescope, through his telescope, and I was absolutely spellbound with the beauty. I could see moon craters and how fast it travels due to Earth rotation, and on that day I have decided that I'm going to get a telescope someday and start observing the night sky. 3 years later I got my telescope, doing a lot of research even before getting the binoculars. These binoculars I have got them recently, but I first got the telescope. But nevertheless, it has been a very rewarding experience for me, and it will be for you too. So get started with this, and possibly try to read about astronomy before getting a telescope, because that helps you in figuring out if you are really into this hobby or it's just like a fling. You see, you get interested in some hobby for 2 to 3 months, and again that hobby doesn't grow on you. So try to read some astronomy material that is available online. Try to see NASA videos that are put up in the YouTube. They are very helpful to you. As far as I am concerned, when I was in undergrad, there used to be a book expo that used to happen near my college, and I used to buy some books there just to time pass in the hostel. So, as part of that, I have bought two books. Uh, this one is Origins, written by astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson. It's a fairly good book, I must say. I was not completely satisfied with the book, but the thing I liked about this book was there were this beautiful pictures in the middle of the book right here. See, you can see these were actual pictures taken by the telescopes through various space agencies, ESA, NASA, ISRO, etc. There are lots of pictures, and these are very fantastic. And I came to know that you can really see stuff like this through the telescope, and that actually had me think that I should get a telescope someday and do all this kind of cool stuff, you know. And later on, after few months of getting this book, I think I got another book. It's by Phillips. It's called Atlas of the Universe, hardcover. So they were selling it in second hand, and I got this book in a book fair for I think 3 to 400 rupees, and I was really impressed by this book, not for the information per se, but the kind of pictures this book has, the kind of collection this book has. It's very detailed. For any amateur astronomer, this book is a must. Or you can search online for any other book. This book has worked for me by far the best. It's Philips. By the way, they also manufacture something called Star Chart, which I'm going to show you in 10 to 20 minutes. This book is actually fantastic. Let me open it and show it to you guys. Yeah, as you can see, very beautiful pictures on each and every page. Yeah, this is about telescopes, how they have evolved, and all those things. You will get to know a lot about this solar system. Aurora borealis is some of the most fascinating phenomena that happens on Earth. Yeah, and of course, there is a moon map. There are four quarters of this map. One first quarter, the second quarter, and there are two other quarters like this. And they have detailed maps for every planet in our solar system, guys. See, this is a map for Mercury. There is no way that you can see Mercury in this detail, no matter how good your telescope is, because it is very close to Sun and it's orbiting very fast. Plus, it's a very small planet. It doesn't really rise up on the horizon, so you cannot see any of those details. But you can study about it. So this is a map of Mars. Yeah, someday it might be our home, hopefully. Yeah, this is Jupiter's moon Io. This you can actually see it through the telescope. Not in this detail, guys. It is just going to look like a star, but appreciate the fact that you can see it through a telescope. You can see Io, you can see Ganymede, and a couple of other moons of Jupiter. Yeah, and of course, I'm searching for Saturn. Where is Saturn? Yeah, the couple of information about eclipses. These are real pictures taken by the astronomers all around the world. Yeah, and nebulas. Yeah, this one is Crab Nebula. You can actually see it through a reasonably good telescope under clear skies. Not going to look like this, guys. Astrophotography, do not believe these pictures. They are false colored. They have been stacked, and a lot of CMOS sensor cameras go into photographing this kind of stuff. But visual astronomy is a different thing. You cannot see stuff in this detail, but it is going to look awesome. Yeah, this is a Pleiades star cluster. Yeah. So there is almost every object in this book that you can look through the telescope visually. So these books have been by far my favorite in triggering the hobby of astronomy, origins and atlas of the universe. Of course, everyone have a different opinion on books, and also Carl Sagan's Cosmos had a huge impact on me. That is also a very good book. If possible, try reading these books. And after reading these books, now you have decided to go into buying a telescope. You have seen through binoculars, you have gone through the books, and now you are very determined to buy a telescope. How do you choose a telescope? Normally, when a word telescope comes into our mind, we usually think it of as a Galilean telescope. By Galilean telescope, what do I mean? Yeah, telescope like this. This particular type of telescope is called a refractor telescope. So, what it does is, see, here you have lens at front. Yeah, it is going to focus the light that is coming onto the back. So, here you are going to put an eyepiece. You are going to focus the telescope, and you are going to observe it. As simple as that. Very simple mechanism. So there are a couple of problems with this refractor design telescopes. Of course, the image contrast is very beautiful in refractor telescope. If you want to see Moon, Jupiter, Saturn. These telescopes are absolutely the best, and they require very less maintenance, and it is easier to clean these telescopes as well. Suppose if dust comes and sits on your lens, you can easily clean that dust off your telescope. Not a big deal. So, but the problem with the refractors is that beyond 70 millimeters, this telescope I have right here, this is a 70 millimeter aperture, 7 centimeters aperture. So this is a reasonably cheap. This company, what is this? Star Tracker. Yeah, Star Tracker. You can get this online for I think 8,000 to 9,000 rupees. And yeah, I forgot telling you, do not buy telescopes that are very cheap, that are available in exhibitions and departmental stores. They are usually available in Amazon too for 3 to 4,000 rupees. Do not buy those telescopes, guys, because they're going to plummet your hobby to the ground, and you are never going to enjoy anything in those telescopes. They are made out of cheap plastic. Those lenses are irreplaceable, and they don't provide good contrast, and you are going to get very disappointed with those kind of telescopes. So if possible, try to get a telescope from nice dealers, and try not to buy in Amazon or Flipkart. That's my usual suggestion, because there are dedicated dealers of telescopes, and if possible, I'll leave a link in the description box below. Yeah, you can go through their websites and pick up whatever you want according to your budget. So as I was telling, the problem with the refractor telescopes is that they get very expensive per inch, beyond 70 millimeters. 70 millimeters you can get it in 8,000 to 9,000 rupees, but beyond that, if you want to get 80 millimeter refractor, for suppose, it is going to get very costly, around 19,000 to 20,000 rupees. And if you want to get 100 millimeter refractor, it's going to cost you at least 30,000 rupees. So refractors are very costly. They are very basic model. They have been since 400 years, since Galileo first invented his first telescope, and they are being continuing till now. But a lot of research has been done in this field, and there are a lot of other designs such as reflector telescopes, catadioptric telescopes, and stuff like that. So what I suggest is that you buy reflector telescope. Reflector telescopes are cheap, and they are very good. And they does the job very perfectly. Before choosing the telescope, one of the most important point is that you need to get as much as light possible into the telescope. The telescope usually is referred as a light bucket. That means it collects light. Our eye is very small compared to the aperture of this telescope. See how small our iris actually is. So this has to be as big as possible to collect as much as light that is coming from outer space. So it is going to collect that light and focus it onto a very narrow spot, from where you can zoom the information of light that has come through the telescope, and you can enjoy the beautiful views of the cosmos. So as I was saying, reflector telescopes actually uses mirrors instead of lenses, like in refractor telescope. Yeah, I am going to show you my reflector telescope. Yeah, this is the one I have bought. Yeah, this is Celestron Astromaster 130. It's a reflector design telescope. Unlike a refractor telescope, you have this observation in the front instead of back here. See, here the light comes and you are going to observe from here. But a reflector design is quite different, guys. I'm going to show you how it actually looks and how it functions. So I'm going to get rid of this cap. As you can see, there is a mirror at back of this telescope. Light is going to come from the outer space, go inside the telescope, hit the mirror at the back, and as you can see, there is one flesh shape spider web kind of thing here. There is another mirror here, which is inclined at 45 degrees angle. So the light from the primary mirror, that means the mirror at the back, is going to reflect onto the secondary mirror, and since it is at 45 degrees angle, the light is going to shoot into this small tunnel right here. So you are going to insert your eyepiece here. You can focus and see the object. As simple as that. I particularly like this reflective design because it has a lot of bang for the buck. This is a 130 millimeter telescope and it has costed me around 23,000 and plus 500 rupees delivery charge and approximately 24,000 rupees. But if you want to get 130 millimeter refractor, guys, trust me, it is going to cost you way more than that. And at least you have to invest 50,000 rupees in buying a refractor telescope with the same aperture as a reflector. So it's a the only problem is that there is something known as collimation, which means that this primary mirror and the secondary mirror in the front they have to stay aligned. That means they have to stay in a straight line exactly. So uh, there is that issue of collimation. All these reflected telescopes come pre-collimated in a factory, so you don't have to worry about that unless. But as the time goes by and as you keep using these telescopes, collimation go out of alignment, and you may need to collimate your telescope. Your reflector telescope. I am going to show you how to collimate your reflective telescope in another video, but trust me, it's not a very difficult process. You can do it in 4 to 5 minutes, and you don't have to do it very often. This almost I have spent 1 year with this telescope and I have never collimated it. It has always stayed in collimation, so no issues, guys. This is a very good telescope. And another important factor while deciding to buy telescope is that excuse me, is that how heavy it is going to be, whether it is going to come on a tripod or a Dobsonian mount. You can search what a Dobsonian mount is. There are pretty small telescopes compared to these 3 inch 4 inch telescopes. You can buy them. They are going to show you a lot of objects. As the aperture increases, you are only going to see more details and very faint objects, but there is a lot of stuff this 70 millimeter refractor also can do. It can show you the craters of moon, moons of Jupiter, rings of Saturn, phases of Venus. It is going to show you Mercury as a small dot. You can find Uranus and Neptune. That's a little adventurous part. They are not visible to your naked eye, but you can use your binoculars or else the telescope in order to find Uranus and Neptune. And of course, you can see outer galactic stuff as Andromeda Galaxy, Pleiades star cluster, Orion Nebula. They are going to look very beautiful. In my reflector telescope, Orion Nebula is absolutely fantastic. When I first saw the Orion Nebula, I almost cried, guys. It was that beautiful. So once you have decided what telescope you get, it is very important that you have to observe in a reasonably very dark location and get your eyes adapted to the dark. Because when you stay inside a room like this with a lot of light and go immediately outside, you are not going to see the fainter stars. So give your eyes at least 20 to 30 minutes to adjust to that kind of darkness, and then start observing. And one of the things that astronomers do is that they get this kind of star chart, this thing. uh, what this thing does is that you are going to rotate this circle right here, yeah, and you are going to say, suppose you are in January month, January or November month right now. So I've dialed to November right here, and at the November month, it is going to show you what is in the south and what is in the north, and there is couple of time zones also here. Say suppose you want to see what are the stars that are going to appear at 12 p.m. on November 15th. This planisphere is going to show you that it is going to simulate your night sky that is above your head. But the thing is that you need to get a red LED torchlight, not a laser, LED torchlight in order to view this, because red light is not going to affect your night vision because the red has a longer wavelength, but white light is definitely going to affect your vision. And there is also moonlight that affects your vision around full moon days. So if you want to view fainter galaxies, new moon day is the best day in order to do that. So that being said, you can buy one of these planispheres. Yeah, if you cannot get this, there are always smartphones that come to our rescue, right? Yeah, there is this app called Sky Portal by Celestron. It is going to simulate your night sky based on your time. See, you can just point your phone towards the object, and it is going to show you what is there in the night sky right now. Okay, moon is right here. It is showing that the moon is on in this direction. If I actually go out and see, the moon will be right there. So it's a very interactive app. It has compass built in. If you don't want compass, you can turn that feature off, and you can slew through this app and see what are the objects that are there. And there is a night vision built in this app. See, if you click this night light, it is going to turn red. So but when you turn this night vision on, be sure to turn off any notifications, because the notifications that are coming in the smartphone are obviously very disturbing, and they are going to affect your night vision. So if you can't get a Planisphere, try to get a similar app, a Sky Portal, or there is a Stellarium, Sky Safari. There are a lot of apps in the Play Store which you can get for free and get started with astronomy. So there is pretty much to it. You are now very well equipped to go and observe your night sky. And one more thing, one final thing that I want to um, teach you is that there are eyepieces that are going to come with your telescope. Always, while you go out and observe, usually telescopes give two eyepieces. My telescope has also given me two eyepieces. This is a 20 millimeter eyepiece. This is a 10 millimeter eyepiece. Contrary to what most of the people believe, they believe that 20 mm is more powerful than the 10 mm. But 10 mm is going to give you more magnification compared to 20 mm eyepiece. As the number goes down, the magnification goes up, because power is inversely proportional to focal length. Yes, right? So when you are trying to find any object, try to do it with the lowest power eyepiece as possible, with the minimum magnification. So first I'm going to insert this 20 millimeter eyepiece into the telescope, find the object I'm going to I want to observe, then replace this 20 millimeter with a 10 millimeter eyepiece and zoom for the more details. Actually, for the fainter stuff, such as galaxies and nebula, you need wider field of view. So this low power eyepiece is going to give you the wider field of view. Star clusters, Andromeda galaxy is almost 4 to 5 times bigger than the moon. So if you want to get whole of the galaxy into your eyepiece, go with the 20 millimeter, or possibly you can buy these eyepieces at 25 millimeter, 30 millimeter, based upon your telescope specifications. So, and also, if you want to see planets in greater detail, what you want to do is get something known as Barlow lens. Most of the telescopes come with Barlow lens, but if your telescope doesn't come with a Barlow lens, buy one of these Barlow lens. The rings of Saturn are absolutely beautiful when you view it through your Barlow lens. What is Barlow lens? What it essentially does is that it doubles the magnification of your eyepiece. Say this is a 10 millimeter eyepiece. So I'm going to insert this eyepiece and going to show you. So yeah, now I have inserted this 10 millimeter eyepiece into the Barlow. Now I'm going to place Barlow into this focuser right here, and I'm going to focus. What it essentially does is that now this 10 millimeter eyepiece will work as a 5 millimeter eyepiece and gives me the maximum magnification. It improves your magnification by the factor of 2. But don't get carried away with the magnification. That is another warning I want to give you, because uh, people watch movies and think that if you magnify more, you are going to see more detail. No, because you are limited by the aperture of your telescope. There is only so much of light coming into your telescope. The amount of information, the amount of photons are fixed. As you are zooming into the information, you are actually getting a blurry image. But you're going to see the image as big, but the image is going to be blurry. Just imagine it as seeing words on the newspaper through a magnifying glass. At some level, they are going to look bigger and beautiful. There is that sweet spot beyond which the objects are going to get blurry, right? So that's all there is to getting started with visual astronomy. If you have any questions, please comment below. I'm more than willing to answer them, and also subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching this, guys. Yes, guys.